All right. Welcome back to the Tuxes and Tomahawks podcast. My name is Adam Dorito. I am a paratrooper. I am a farmer, and I'm an oil and gas worker here in the state of Colorado. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to interview local candidates here in Colorado who want to come on and speak to the constituents and with a social media platform to increase their outreach. Because the primary election season is upon us, people, and it is super important that you get to know the candidates versus a bunch of BS mail-out voters that are being sent out by the opposition, right? So, Ray Garcia, thanks for coming on the show. You are running for El Paso County Commissioner, District 4. Tell me who you are, where you come from, and what even got you to this position? Why do you want to be a politician? Why do you want to represent the people?
Thank you for having me. So let's see, what was this question? Where did I come from? Let's see, I came from, so I grew up in northeastern Colorado, a little place called Julesburg. Not many people heard of it. It's a real small little town, but very heavy in Colorado history. It's a railroad town. My family's been here on my mother's side for over 150 years. We're true pioneers. We've been here since before Colorado was actually Colorado State. Interesting. My great-grandfather was a sheriff in Denver, and my great-grandfather was a bootlegger, ran alcohol. So I don't know if they were in together or they were against each other, but that's my family history right there. I've been in Colorado all my life. Went right out of the Marine Corps. Right out of high school, I went to the Marine Corps where I served for 8 years, 4 active, 4 inactive. I was in during Desert Shield, Desert Storm, Desert Stay, Eager Mace. That's all in Saudi Arabia. Restore Freedom in Somalia, all those things. I flew 53 Echo helicopters as a crew chief. So you know what a 53 Echo is, right?
53s are like one of my favorite helicopters, man. Those big, heavy lift son of a bitches. I mean, you can move mountains with that thing, literally.
Yeah,
such a cool aircraft.
78,000 pounds. That thing's a monster. I always thought that we should take a CH-53, armor the hell out of it, and make a AH-53. That would be awesome.
That's actually not a bad idea. I fully support this as a Second Amendment loving American. Like, that's the only thing Dragon Man's missing down in the Springs right now is a fully loaded 53.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Those things can hold so much weight, and man, they're awesome.
Ray, just to talk about that a little bit, what inspired you to join the Marine Corps? Like, why did you want to put on a uniform and serve this country?
I always wanted to be a Marine since I was a little kid. I mean, they get to go blow shit up. They get to, shoot guns, just be badass all the time. Why wouldn't I want to be a Marine? That was something I wanted since I was a little kid. So that's kind of interesting because when I was in school, my high school teachers, the superintendent hated the fact that I wouldn't do homework. I would, whatever homework was offered or ordered, I would do it at the class, before or after the class, in the class, and I would never take anything home. Home was my time. School was that time. Fine, I'll do it then. I aced every test I've ever taken, but I graduated with like a B-ish average. So it was, they were always saying, well, if you put any effort forward, you'd be a straight A student. And I was like, why? I get the same diploma. What's the point? I'm out having fun. I could leave here and in 4 hours go get a GED and give you the same thing that you take 4 years to give me. So, well, yeah, but you would get a better, they say you get a scholarship. Don't you want to go to a good school? I said, well, I'm going to the Marine Corps. What kind of scholarship you got for that? They hated that. So
you went to the University of Pendleton, Camp Pendleton, right?
Yeah. Yep. I was in MCRD.
Oh man, that must have been a ride.
Oh, I loved every minute of being in the Marine Corps. That was the time of my life. Been around the world 3 times. Been on every continent but Antarctica. So
the thing is, it's
like every state but Maine.
Every state but Maine. That's actually an interesting point. You got to go for the lobster rolls. I hear they're pretty good. But it's you wanted to serve your country at a young age. You've been around the world. You've seen the effects of communism. You've seen the effects of third world country governments and what they can do to a population. And I think that's a perspective people like you and myself who've deployed overseas. we have such a different perspective on America and are so much more grateful for the freedoms and everything that we have here because we see how easily it's taken away overseas. We see how easily dictatorships, we see how easy it is when people take your guns and people take your rights, that you're living in a dirt hole eating rice in India, right? Or Nepal, or, CENTCOM, somewhere, anywhere, right? And I think Americans really take these freedoms for granted. And that's what drives me nuts. Because you are in El Paso County, and El Paso County for decades has been the bastion of conservative values here in Colorado, right? That's what I always heard is that the El Paso
County. Yeah, that's what I was told.
You got a bunch of Latinos, you got a bunch of Mexicans. Like, I'm Catholic, you're Catholic. Hey, you bring your kids to church every Sunday. That's the way it is, conservative values. And then what I'm seeing is this. I've worked federal politics for the last 14 years, and I started to get involved in local politics this last year. And what I have seen is some of the nastiest, vicious attacks against people with America First Trump values when we're trying to save this party. I'm sorry, people, but Reagan's dead. Reaganomics is gone. You had 20 to 30 years to fix this country, and all you did was send people like myself to freaking war for 20 years. You killed some of my friends. You decimated the economy and everything else with the housing crisis and all this other stuff back in 2008. And now you're trying to tell me that you promise if you elect us this time, we're going to do it differently. And then Trump gets elected. Trump gets elected in 2016. He comes in, upsets the entire establishment. And then you start seeing all of these people in Colorado. They don't support the conservatives and the conservative values, the Hispanics and Latino Americans who abide by those values. They're supporting their Democrat counterparts. They're supporting initiatives that are taking away our freedoms and everything else. I mean, actually, I was really excited when I moved from the East Coast, New Jersey, to the state of Colorado. One of the best parts was I could buy guns and I had so much more freedom. And that was in 2006. And I don't even know what state I live in anymore. I almost think New Jersey's turning more red than Colorado at this point. It blows my mind. So Ray, talk to me about what that transition has been like for you and your family. You've been out here 160 years, your family. You've seen this entire process change. How did we get to where we are right now in the Colorado conservative movement?
This is a story. Oh, man. When I was in the Corps, I used to brag to all my buddies how conservative Colorado was. We had like no helmet laws. We had it was a free state, and it was great because anytime something came up that they tried to infringe on our rights, we would put it down big time. Then I come back and I just watched it just go south big time. Do you know what the blueprint is?
Yes, I'm definitely familiar with the blueprint.
Okay. So part of all that, when Jared Polis, Pat Stryker, Tim Gill, and Rut Bridges decided, they got together, they had a meeting, and they decided that if they could buy every election in the state house, the state senate, and the governor, they could start passing all the laws and changing our voting record or voting right system, and they could get it rigged so that they could stay in power in perpetuity. And this is exactly what they did. Once they got the House and the state, the Senate, the state House, state Senate, and the governorship, they started passing all this stuff. And then they got a same-day voter registration, mail-in ballots, Dominion voting machines. And from that point on, we swung from solid red to solid blue. Is that a coincidence? No. It's designed that way. So when I was running in Denver, I was the chairman of the House District 1 in Denver, and I was a candidate in Denver. And I was campaigning to everybody, not just unaffiliated Republicans. I was campaigning to everybody because I tell you what, everybody is pissed off and they're fed up with this bullshit. When I was campaigning, I was getting the Democrat voter registrations, and I was seeing the same anomaly come up over and over and over. At one page I had 47 different names, all the same address. 37 of those names had the same phone number, just in one address.
That's wild.
And that was all Democrat. Yeah.
That's wild.
I turned this over to the Secretary of State at the time, and they just gave me the, obligatory, we'll look into it, and never did anything about it. They said, there's nothing we can do until after the election. I'm like, well, it's a little late then, isn't it? But yeah, so anyway, so they got control of all the House, the Senate, and everything. What they don't tell you what they did. One other thing they did is they got Democrats from California to move to Colorado and sit as sleeper cells. And they would go to the Republican, they would register Republican, and then they would go to the meetings for the House districts, the Senate districts, the commissioner districts, and all this. They were the GOP meetings, and they would start becoming the secretaries, the vice chairs, the chairs, and start running the meetings. And then they'd get the candidates, and they all had the same message. Their message was that we need to move more to the center to appeal to more voters, more moderate voters, which means we need to move more left. And what this did was it alienated the base, Republican base. So that's when you started seeing all the Republicans leaving and going to independent, because they were seeing their elected officials that would campaign on being Republican and then go to the state capitol and start voting like Democrats. So all the Republicans started leaving. This is when the Tea Party started coming up, because the Republican Party wasn't being, the Republican Party wasn't being constitutional conservatives anymore. So this is all that, and all the upper echelon, a lot of money in the Republican Party by getting failed candidates in the Republican Party, or getting elected candidates that would vote like Democrats. They're making a lot of money.
They're extremely weak candidates. Like, it blows my mind. I do not understand, like, how. I mean, I used to be in Colorado District 4, and then I got deployed. I came back. Now I'm in District 8. I mean, I got gerrymandered. Now I'm represented by a Democrat now in Weld County. Yeah. It's wild. I never in my life did I think I'd be represented by a Democrat in Weld County, but I think you're right. I mean, because by nature, I have to be in a union, because I'm in a steelworkers union. I work at the refinery, so I have to interact with my Democrat counterparts at these union meetings. And I will tell you this, right, and it blows my mind. I have had more civil conversations with liberal Democrats from the Democratic Party about environmentalism and oil and gas production than I have ever had with some of these people who claim to be Republicans here in the state of Colorado. And there's a big difference. I believe the divide is this. It is the old school, GOP Republican rhinos. And I hate even using the term rhinos. You're just milquetoast conservatives, right? You're not real conservatives. And then the America First.
I call them Democrats.
Yeah. And the America First Trump agenda. And that's the new conservative party. We need newer, younger, fresher people in these establishment to replace the establishment. Because I have tried to even work with other members of the older sections of the GOP, right? And I have tried to go to their meetings and go to these local meetings and support their candidates and everything else. And then I get censored by them. I'm interviewing candidates like yourselves. I'm trying to get the word out. I'm trying to make sure that people who are disaffected voters, who are these independents, who left their respective parties, have a chance to hear people like Ray or anyone else speaking long-form podcasting, right? Where you can tell them who you are, where you come from, what you stand for, versus some BS mailers sent out by your opponents, or you get a quick Facebook post that's shared by three people who are on Social Security, right? Like, that's not getting us voters, right? It's these long-form discussions, and I think that's super important. So tell me what makes you different. Like, you technically were part of the old Republican Party. You saw how it developed, and then you left it, and now you are running on an absolute platform that you will never do what has been done before. What are your platform standards for this commissioner's race? What are you going to do differently?
Well, I've never left the Republican Party. I've been Republican my entire life. I won't leave it, in fact. I tell people, you can't fix it from the outside. You have to fix it from the inside, which is how it was destroyed, was from the inside. So we have to fix it from the inside, and that's what I'm doing. I came over from Denver, so I've lived in Colorado my entire life. When I went to the Marine Corps, I came home. Instead of moving back to Julesburg, I moved into Denver, Westminster at the time. I moved into Denver City in 2007 and lived there until 2017. I've always been involved in politics, so I ended up becoming the chairman of the House District 1 in Denver, and ran as a candidate, as a sacrificial candidate, because it was a solid Democrat district. So I had no chance of winning, but I was going to give it a good fight. And I did. I got more votes in Denver than any Republican in history in a House district race. So I've always been in the Republican Party, and I will always fight for the Republican Party, and I'm fighting to bring it back. When I moved to El Paso County, I was under the impression that El Paso County was the bastion of conservatism in Colorado. It was the Mecca for conservatives. I get out here and I come to find out it's run by Democrats in the Republican Party. And they weren't letting people know about caucus and assembly so that their people could go to caucus and assembly, become delegates, and run the whole show. Give us these milquetoast Republican, no spine candidates to go up and vote like Democrats. So knowing what I know, I started going out to all the precincts. So the first caucus I came to in 2018 in El Paso County, in my precinct, there was 7 people that showed up for that caucus. 4 of them came from my household: my mother, myself, my wife, and my roommate. So there was 3 other people that weren't in my household that came, and there were several precincts that didn't have anybody show up because they didn't want anybody to come to the caucus. They didn't want anybody to challenge their power. They wanted their delegates to go to the assemblies and get their candidates elected, and that was it. So they didn't want anybody to know about all this kind of stuff. So I started going to precincts. We started getting people, and we started going to every precinct and getting people to show up to caucus and vote for our candidates to go and be delegates. And we started changing everything. And I mean, it was like overnight, we got a conservative chair for El Paso County, Vicki Tompkins, who is amazing. I cannot say enough about that woman. She is amazing. And we started getting people we started taking over all the House, all the Senate for the GOPs, all the Senate seats, all the chairs, and we started taking back El Paso County. Then in 2023, we ended up getting a solid conservative into the Colorado GOP chair, Dave Williams. We ended up in America First, solid constitutional conservative. We get people with backbones. They don't pander to the left and do as they're told. Like I've been telling everybody, we don't do as we're told. We actually have backbones. So this is when we've taken back Colorado, and all the old guard establishment rhinos. I know you don't like rhinos, but I love it. I call them Democrats because they're Democrats in the Republican Party. They are not happy about it because we've taken away all their power, and we've taken away more than that. We've taken away their money. They are not able to siphon money off of the Republican Party and into their pockets. So we're really hitting them in the pocketbook, and they do not like this. So that's what I've been doing.
But this is what blows my mind, right? It's like, okay, so we have Dave Williams, who's the Colorado GOP chairman. And it's like, we finally have somebody who's going to fight for our pro-life. We find someone who's going to fight for the constitutional Second Amendment. We find someone who is going to stick by fiscal conservatism. We find someone who is going to be publishing the ledgers openly, showing that the money's not being misappropriated in the party anymore. We're going to get rid of all these establishment candidates. It's like, okay, great. That's exactly what conservatives stand for. Perfect. Great. Great, grand, wonderful. Get off the bus, right? And all of a sudden, in the past 3 months, it has been an all-out onslaught to remove this guy for speaking the truth.
And it's just, that.
I know, but for me, I've just been paying attention in the last in the last year, and I go, wait a minute, this guy literally stands for conservative values. And yes, Dave is Christian and he speaks that, but even the RNC platform is that we all come from God and we all have these God-given values, right? And it's just I don't understand it. This guy's probably the most conservative person we've ever had to run the party in the state of Colorado. And now everyone's getting pissed off and they want to remove him and anyone who's associated with him. It's nuts to me. It makes no sense whatsoever.
Well, it's not everyone because the majority love him. It's that silent or that small little faction of old guard that we booted out. They're the ones that hate him because he's not doing what they said. Yes, he's not doing what they said. And interesting, they have to attack him with lies. It's always lies. They change what he says and then demean him for saying what he never said. I know. With that. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, what I was going to say is that what blows my mind, too, is that, I have worked on military reform in District 5 for many years. I went to the Air Force Academy. I'm stationed at Fort Carson now and everything else. And Doug Lamborn didn't do a damn thing for us, ever. Ever. Doug Lamborn did not stop the rapes and sexual assaults at the Air Force Academy. He did not stop misappropriating funds and search violation of Fourth Amendment rights for Green Berets on Fort Carson. He didn't do any of the things that we're trying to initiate. And now this guy who's literally funded by the same exact organization that tried to keep Trump off the ballot in Colorado is trying to tell me that he swears he's going to do something differently this time. Absolutely not. I mean, we have one of the most largest military-industrial complex states, including Space Command, in the United States, in the state of Colorado. And it is critically important that we have somebody who's ethical, who's going to spend our money correctly, who's going to protect our soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, guardians, and everyone else in the Springs, but also to make sure that everyone in El Paso County in these regions are living a healthy life. They have clean water. They have access to agriculture, access to lower cost energy. Their constitutional rights aren't being taken away. And the El Paso conservatives from the old guard just want to continually take away your rights, take away your water, increase prices. It makes no sense to me, Ray. It makes no sense to me.
They're not conservatives. They're El Paso, though they're not conservatives. They may say they're Republicans, but they're definitely not conservatives. So yeah, but you're right there.
So you're going to get elected day one in office. What are you going to do as county commissioner in District 4 of El Paso County, Ray?
I am on a mission to end Dominion voting machines in El Paso County. Now, if we can get rid of Dominion in El Paso County and have an actual honest election and show the huge swing difference from an actual election and all the rest of the elections in Colorado that are so rigged, and you can show, when it's night and day, two totally different, and then we can say, well, hell, ours are honest elections and yours are not. And what is the outcome? Because I really believe that Colorado is a conservative state, but their voice is being silenced. Their votes are being changed. So that's why I want to get rid of the Dominion voting machine. So when this election season came up in my district, every seat is up for election except for federal Senate, the U.S. Senate. Every other seat is up, and I've been asked to run for every single seat there is out there. And I had to look and see where I could make the most difference and where I could actually get something accomplished, what I wanted done. And what I want is our elections honest again. The only thing I could see that had any power to do that was a commissioner. Now, most people don't even know what commissioners do. I mean, they hear the word commissioner and they think Batman, the commissioner of Gotham.
Wait, that's not what it is? I don't put the Batman symbol in the air and I call him Batman? I'm confused. So if you're not putting up the Batman symbol as a county commissioner, Ray, what are you going to do besides smash the Dominion voting machines?
Yeah. What commissioners do is they affect the budget. They are the ones that say what gets spent or doesn't get spent in El Paso County. There's 5 commissioners. So you have to have 3, a simple majority, 3 commissioners that will say, yes, we'll spend money on this, or no, we're not going to spend money on this. So if I can get 3 commissioners and say, we're not going to spend any money if Dominion is involved. So if you have Dominion voting machines, we're not going to pay for the machines. We're not going to pay for the ballots. We're not going to pay for the upkeep. Nothing. We're not going to pay for Dominion anything. That's how we can get this changed. And then we can have honest elections back in Colorado.
I agree, Ray. I think what we've seen is, people didn't want to believe the conspiracy theories before of like, oh, Joe Biden overthrew the election and the insurrection, this. And look, I was in the National Guard at the time, and I was one of the first guys on ground that was so-called, quote-unquote, deployed to Washington, D.C. in the middle of the night in the back of a C-130 with a 7-hour flight. I'm like, we could have just taken commercial. This would have been a lot faster. But no, they wanted to fly us tactically on a C-130 from Colorado all the way to freaking D.C. It's mass chaos. You get out there. There's 50,000 guardsmen on the ground with no logistical support, no nothing, and it's one gay guy in a rainbow Speedo flying down the road in rollerblades, and I'm walking around at Nancy Pelosi's office going, so where's all the broken stuff? You know what I mean? Like it's wild, man. So I think that's a great way. Is we need to secure our elections, voter ID, changing the way we vote, in-person voting. I mean, that's what this country is founded on. I don't understand why are these people fighting so hard to change that, because they know that's what they're doing to skew the results. And I think even if you look at the way Joe Biden and Trump are going right now, there's literally a dead body running for president and somebody who can hold more than 15 coherent sentences in a row. You look at every single rally that Trump has been to, tens of thousands of people. I've been to his house. I've been to his house 3 times this year. There's no way that this guy can't statistically win. But what he can do is, if we don't close our borders, we don't secure our things, we're going to have a lot more of illegal immigrant migrant votes. Joe Biden even released today that anyone who's an illegal immigrant for over 10 years, he's considering making them all citizens right now. Well, why would you do that? Why would you do that? It's because he's trying to flip the election and change the things last minute, right? Because people like you are paying attention to those voting machines. People like you are paying attention to what's actually going on in this country. We're trying to overthrow the establishment guard here in Colorado, and I'm hoping this catches fire. I'm hoping that we actually do the right thing and get the right people elected. So, Ray, what are some of the last things you want to say to the people of El Paso County to vote for you, where they can find you, where they can connect with you, where they can have these discussions?
So you can find my website. It's electraygarcia.com. That's electraygarcia.com. Or if you want to contact me personally and just tell me, talk to me about what's going on around here, you can call my personal cell phone at 720-836. Again, that's 720-373766. So what else did you need? Oh, I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, I was muted right there. Any other email contact people can reach out to you, send donations to? Do you have a donation link on your website?
Yes, I do. There's a donation site on my website, and I definitely need the money. I've been financing this basically by myself, and it's expensive. I'll tell you what. But it's a fight I'm willing to make. You can email me if you want. It's USMC, like United States Marine Corps, Stingray, like the fish. That was my call sign in the Marine Corps, and then the digit number 1 at AOL.com. So USMC Stingray 1 at AOL.com. Can you believe I still have AOL?
Yes, I can, because Ray, you and I are both kind of getting old up there with our facial hair and everything else. Exactly. I still remember rotary dial telephones at my grandmother's house. Right?
Yep.
So,
yeah, I had that.
As my current, I'm still in the Army Reserve right now, and I think someone who's even watching the live stream right now, they even joked, they're like, "Hey, when you first joined the Army, what were you wearing? Wool uniforms from the Civil War?" And I'm like, "If you don't shut up, I'm going to come down there and beat your ass." Anyway, Ray, I want to thank you for coming on the show. I want to thank you for reaching out to me and saying, "Hey, I just want to have this open discussion." And I think. Sorry, go ahead.
I got so here's something I've been doing for. It's been over a decade now since I've been running, and my campaigns is always about keep right and no left turn.
Keep right, no left turn. I like it. That's great.
that's my no left turn and keep right, brother.
Yeah. So like I said,
that good fight.
No, I will do it. I'm going to try to get as many candidates up before the primary as I can who reach out to me. And like I said, you got to reach out to me. I'm not out here looking for fame or adoration or anything else. I want to help people that want to be helped. I want to help get your voice out. I want to help get your message out.
Contact Chris Guido in Commissioner District 2. He's amazing. He's an amazing man. You need to check with him.
Yeah. And if you talk to him before I do, tell him to reach out to me. But
I shall do.
So I just want, once again, Ray, thank you so much for coming on the show of Tuxes and Tomahawks, where we do civil discourse, discourse and debate, right? And I wish you the best of luck in your race. I hope people come out, listen to this podcast, come out and support you. And like I said, if you need anything else, man, hit me up. Or we're just going to go back to fighting all the old people in the Facebook forums right now, telling me that I work for George Soros, because that's what I love to do, is fighting with old people.
Yeah. I'm having a ball doing that, buddy. I'm having a ball.
Well,
they don't like it. Oh,
no,
man,
they don't
like it.
Ray, let's get him out of office.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get him out of office. Let's vote him out.
Absolutely.
Let's do whatever we can. It's time for people doing the right thing to be in office, just like you want to do, Ray. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, brother.
All right. We'll talk again. Bye.
Yeah, bye.